My name is Mackenzie. My studio is located in the town site, in the old part of the town site in Powell River, in a building that was the credit union for many years, and we're in an upstairs suite. So we're at 6239B Walnut Street. Although I don't have a studio that's a storefront studio, I welcome people whenever an arrangement can be made. I like to say that my studio is open by chance or by appointment, but I'm always happy to see people, show them my studio, talk to them about my work and how I do my paintings. But I always have a lot of guests that come to the studio tour, and saying hello at the door and showing them around and having them ask me questions about my work, letting them touch the artwork, letting them touch the materials and the brushes that I work with is really fun for me. I never, ever saw myself as an artist growing up. It wasn't something that I felt I longed to do or had as a goal for myself. It just kind of landed. About 25 years ago, I went into an art gallery with a friend. Art galleries were not something that I included on my list of visiting when I went traveling. But in this case, we went to this art gallery that was loaded with paintings that were saturated with color. Everything was so bright and so beautiful, and it really moved me. I love color. And that night, when I reflected on going to the gallery, along with my memories of the gallery came this urge to try to paint. But we all have sometimes this little extra voice in our head that says, you can't do that. And so for 6 months, this little argument went on in my head. Go on, give it a try. Well, who do you think you are? You're not an artist. You don't know anything about painting. And finally, honestly, to quell that voice, I went and bought some rudimentary art supplies, painting supplies, not to try it, not to see if I could do it. No, to prove to myself once and for all that I could not do it, and maybe the voice would go away. I dipped my brush in some beautiful yellow paint. I had a blank piece of paper in front of me. I didn't have an idea of what to paint, and I went swoosh with this brush, and this thrill ran through me. I was hooked, and I didn't care if I could paint or not. I just wanted to push that brush around on the paper and work with those beautiful colors. I've experimented and been self-taught largely ever since, and I've loved it all the way. I began as a watercolor artist, and then I painted next to someone who was an acrylic artist, and that enchanted me. So I started to blend the two, and then mixed media where you add papers and inks and other things to your work. So largely now I work in acrylic and mixed media. But every once in a while I go back to my first love, which is watercolor. Life inspires my artwork, ideas, an emotion that I may feel when I'm looking at either a landscape, a person, an object. Sometimes I paint just purely out of my imagination. I've actually stood in front of a blank canvas and thought, well, what's going to come out today? And just start and see which way the image wants to go. I do a wide variety of subjects, ideas, and styles because I just love to play, and I find life and the world so fascinating that every facet of it I want to tackle. All of the doubting rises up at the sight of a blank canvas. And so I gather myself at that point and I say, you've done it before, and if it doesn't work, fix it. And if it doesn't work, put another one up and start again. No recriminations, no beating myself up, no demanding perfection. Just have fun. Just play with the materials and see how they go. And that has led me to many, many, many different kinds of paintings and images that I didn't even expect I was going to do. When they were fun, I followed. I truly believe that inside we all have artwork. We are all artists in our own way, whether you're a gardener, a sculptor, a painter, a dressmaker. It's all art. But the key for me is that it doesn't have to be art that's defined by someone else. If you've created it, it's art. I'm going to show you a little bit of how I do a procedure that I experimented with and fiddled with and played with and ended up really enjoying and offering to people who come to have a look at my studio. I call it the Paper Garden Series. I take Oriental, Chinese, sometimes Japanese papers. So what I do is I spray the paper to dampen it, and then I take a bit of my color and you dab it on and spray it again. And it starts to fly across the paper. Can you see that? And you can twist it, turn it, direct it, and let it do its thing. I'll do that with a variety of colors on wet paper. And this is what you end up with. The next step is your imagination. What do I see? Do I see a leaf? Do I see trees on a hillside? I look at it and I let the painting tell me what the story might be. In this case, there's probably about 3 layers of paint that have been wet and put on here. Then I glue the paper to a painting board of some sort, let it dry. Once it's completely dry, I go in with my detail brush and do things like stems and details. My website is leemackenzie.com or monkeytreestudio.com. My Facebook page is Lee Mackenzie's Studio.